The entire courtroom fell silent for just a moment before the laughter erupted. Judges, lawyers, reporters, and spectators exchanged amused glances as a tiny 8-year-old girl stood trembling in the center of the room. Her small hands were clenched into fists, her eyes filled with tears she was trying desperately to hold back. Then she spoke the words that nobody in that courtroom would ever forget. "Free my daddy, and I'll make you walk again." The laughter grew louder. To everyone present, it sounded like the desperate promise of a frightened child who didn't understand reality. A little girl was making an impossible bargain to save the only parent she had left. But what happened after that day would challenge everything people thought they knew about hope, faith, sacrifice, and the extraordinary power hidden inside ordinary people. Before we begin this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to channel name. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest truths. The story began nearly 3 years before that courtroom hearing. Michael Carter was not a famous man. He wasn't wealthy, powerful, or connected. He was simply a father. At 37 years old, Michael worked long hours repairing heating and cooling systems around the city. His hands were rough from years of labor. His clothes often smelled of dust and machine oil. Most people passed him on the street without noticing him. But to one little girl, he was the entire world. His daughter Emma had been only 5 years old when tragedy struck their family. Michael's wife, Sarah, had been driving home from work during a heavy storm when a truck lost control on a slippery highway. The accident took her life instantly. One moment Michael had a family. The next, he was a widower standing in a hospital hallway trying to explain to a crying child why her mother wasn't coming home. The months that followed were the hardest of his life. Every morning he woke before sunrise. He made breakfast, braided Emma's hair as best he could, packed her lunch, worked 10-hour shifts, returned home exhausted, then spent the evening helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, and pretending everything was okay. The truth was that nothing was okay. Bills piled up. Medical debt from Sarah's final hospital expenses lingered. The house needed repairs. Sleep became a luxury. But Michael never complained, because every time he looked into Emma's eyes, he remembered his promise to Sarah. No matter what happened, he would take care of their daughter. And he did. For years, Emma grew into a bright, compassionate little girl who seemed far wiser than her age. Teachers often remarked about her unusual kindness. When classmates felt lonely, Emma sat beside them. When someone forgot lunch, Emma shared hers. When another child cried, Emma was always the first to offer comfort. Many people assumed such kindness came naturally. But it came from watching her father. Every day she witnessed his sacrifices. She saw him skip meals so she could have better food. She noticed the holes in his work boots that he refused to replace. She understood that every exhausted smile was something he gave her even when life had taken almost everything from him. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Michael was finishing a repair job downtown when he noticed a crowd gathering near an intersection. A city bus had skidded while trying to avoid another vehicle. The collision wasn't catastrophic, but chaos filled the street. People screamed. Cars stopped. Pedestrians scattered. Michael immediately ran toward the scene. Without thinking about danger, he helped passengers climb from the damaged bus. He guided elderly people to safety. He comforted frightened children. Then he heard another cry. A woman in a wheelchair had been struck by falling debris during the accident. The chair had overturned. She lay injured and unable to move. Michael rushed forward. Ignoring warnings from others, he entered an unstable area near the damaged vehicle to reach her. He managed to pull her away just moments before part of the bus structure collapsed. The crowd called him a hero. News cameras captured images of the rescue. For one brief evening, Michael Carter became a local headline. But heroes are not always rewarded. Sometimes they become victims. During the investigation that followed, confusion emerged about the accident. Insurance companies argued. Lawyers searched for someone to blame. Witness statements conflicted. And somehow, incredibly, accusations began pointing toward Michael. A security video showed him near the scene moments before the collision. A dishonest witness claimed Michael had distracted a driver. Another person insisted he had interfered with emergency procedures. The allegations were ridiculous. But legal systems do not always move according to truth. They move according to evidence. And evidence can sometimes be twisted. Months passed. Court hearings followed. Legal fees consumed what little savings Michael had left. The stress became unbearable. Yet through it all, Emma remained by his side. She never stopped believing in him. Even when newspapers portrayed him unfairly. Even when neighbors whispered. Even when friends quietly disappeared. Emma stood beside her father and told everyone the same thing. "My daddy helps people." Those simple words meant more to Michael than any legal defense. But they weren't enough. Eventually, the unthinkable happened. A judge ruled that Michael would face serious penalties while additional proceedings continued. The decision shocked many who knew him. To Emma, it felt like losing her father all over again. The night before the final hearing, she sat alone in her bedroom staring at an old family photograph. Her mother smiled from the picture. Her father stood beside her. Everyone looked happy, complete, safe. Emma pressed the photo against her chest and cried herself to sleep. What happened next would set in motion a chain of events nobody could have predicted. Not Michael, not the judge, not the lawyers, and certainly not the crowd that would later laugh at a little girl standing in a courtroom. Because somewhere else in the city, a man named Judge Robert Harrison was facing a private battle of his own. For years, a severe neurological condition had slowly stolen his ability to walk. Doctors had tried countless treatments. Specialists offered little hope. Wheelchairs, rehabilitation programs, medications, nothing produced meaningful results. Judge Harrison had accepted a painful reality. Some losses cannot be reversed. Or so he believed. The morning of Michael Carter's hearing, the judge entered the courtroom carrying that burden. He expected another ordinary legal proceeding. Instead, he was about to encounter a child whose courage would challenge everything he thought was impossible. And when Emma finally stood up and made her astonishing promise, "Free my daddy, and I'll make you walk again," the courtroom laughed. But destiny wasn't laughing. It was only beginning. Continue.